Ha!
Hello.
Perfect. Nailed it. All right. Just got to get everything loaded up. Okay. Okay. Man, we're so live, it's not even showing up on... There it is. Okay. Sorry, folks. I'm getting situated. Week off was not good for the production. All right. Well then, let's see. We got a live stream going. We got some audio going into the microphones. I got my little preview set up here. And yeah, I think we're good to podcast.
Top in lap.
Yes, the top is in the lap, and here we go.
Got my monster, I'm all ready.
Yes, the crotch drink. So, now that we started talking about crotches, welcome to Player Tuesday. This is a live stream, soon-to-be podcast, in which two bros, he and I, sit on a couch and talk about stuff that we want to talk about. So, I'm Curtis.
I'm John.
And yeah, let's get started here. Oh, man, I don't even have the... Oh, jeez.
My goodness.
Oh, it's bad. It's real bad. Okay. There we go. Now I've got my topics pulled up. Okay. So,
Now we're in business.
So, speaking of things popping up here, Google released some pretty interesting information this week. Huh?
Nothing.
It was weak. It was weak. I never claimed it would be a good one. But, yeah, Netflix announced that they want to become the Netflix of gaming. So they're looking at a cloud-based gaming service called Stadia. I can't remember how it's pronounced, but, yeah. So with their cloud-based gaming service, you pay, of course, a small fee a month, and you have access to tons and tons of games. I did a little bit of research, and from what I'm seeing, you need a pretty good internet package. They are projecting something like, I want to say 200 gigs per week or something like that. So yeah, your internet package would actually need to support the data that you're pumping through it. It sounds kind of crazy. I mean, they don't have all of the information on it. You do receive a controller, which kind of sort of looks a little bit like a Steam controller, so I'm curious how comfortable that's going to be. But yeah, so your controller syncs up to the server as well in hopes that it kills some of that latency, but only time will tell. Yeah. Do you want to... where are you watching over there? Oh, John, put that away. But, so, some more news, and this is actually really exciting for the gaming community in general. So, Philadelphia is looking to add a $50 million esports facility called the Fusion Arena. And kind of looking at the article, it looks like that it's going to be attached or directly across from a major sports complex. And yeah, it's pretty exciting to see esports kind of coming up and becoming really, really relevant in this day and age. It seemed like, 5-6 years ago when you said esports, everyone would just kind of laugh because all of the professional gaming services and companies have just been ran really poorly. So I am super excited about this. I definitely look forward to watching some of the online events and things like that happen. let's see what is next on the docket, man. I'm like whacking it and stacking it today. I'm glad that we got a few topics here.
Yeah.
This is moving a lot faster than I thought it was going to. But also, sorry. Xbox is releasing something called the X Cloud, and again, it's a cloud-based gaming service. Like, it seems like everybody's on this same thought process here, which, I mean, makes sense, but I think, I don't know.
And that's not just video games wide, that's the whole industry, the whole entertainment industry wide. Streaming services are all over the place. Apple just opened their own streaming service, didn't they? Sorry.
As John tries to fix his microphone.
Apple just opened their own streaming service, right?
Yeah, they did. Or it's getting ready to release. I thought I saw an article about it, but I was like, Apple, I'm going to skip right over that. But yeah, so with the X Cloud, you get a tablet. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to play racing games or first-person shooters, but I just can't do it on the tablet. And looking at the actual tablet in the article, it's all just user interface based, and I'm real nervous about this one. I don't...
Well, in theory, if they could put motion controls into the tablet, you could...
Yeah, the only thing with gyro sensors, it seems like...
They tend to be awful, but I mean, at some point, they got to be able to perfect this technology, don't they?
Well, I mean, you're taking a steering wheel, which you can usually go 2 or 3 turns on, and you've got 45 degrees that you can play with. And a lot of times, once you go over that 45-degree angle, the gyro sensor just kind of freaks out or just doesn't register properly. And then you get some really, really glitchy cars as you try to race. I've tried them before, and especially on, like, the Wii. Oh, the Wii was terrible for racing games.
I don't know. That's okay.
I couldn't do it, man. We had some, like...
Just got to get the groove down.
Yeah, we had some arcade racer type game, and it was terrible.
I don't know. It seems like every system they put out, they're still trying for it. Isn't the Kinect still a thing?
I don't know. Is it? Was it ever?
It wasn't, and yet it kept coming out.
Right now you can find Kinects in the Goodwill for like $2 because nobody wants them.
And yet they're still making games for it is what I'm trying to say.
Right. I don't know.
They've always tried to push that kind of stuff.
Yeah, speaking of pushing stuff, do you wanna hit that next one? Yes, the segue is strong.
Well, you want me to read it just like it's written here?
Yeah. By the way, what we're gonna attempt to do is prepare segues for each other, and they're gonna be super awful, super cringy, but we're all gonna love it because it's gonna be great. Sorry. Proceed, John.
So this is a dry run. This is a rehearsal. Okay. Captain Marvel shatters $900 million on its third weekend.
I'm proud of that one.
I wouldn't be.
So
I mean, good job.
Captain Marvel, they did a real good job. It seems like it's really popular, just like every other Marvel movie. But I mean, $900 million, that really is impressive.
Yeah, did pretty well.
Because I want to say the first Iron Man was something like $126 million when it came out. So they've got a formula. They've got it figured out. They just keep them pumping.
I guess so. I know that the context around Captain Marvel was a mess. I didn't even bother touching.
I heard. And this is all through the grapevine, but it's just a lot of political women empowerment type things. Again,
and all the same arguments that go with that on both sides, and it's
Black Panther
yucky.
2.0. I mean,
it's Ghostbusters remake 2.0 if you want to get real accurate.
That's a little more applicable.
Except it seems like Captain Marvel did pretty well.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how well the Ghostbusters are.
Everyone I know that's seen it, they've said that it's a really good film.
Captain Marvel? It looked pretty good.
I don't know. It seemed super hyped, but
it's also the other reason for me not to see it is just it's another Marvel movie. I'm sorry, everybody.
Here.
I'm
not a comic book fan. There's one or two.
I like them okay, but I mean, how many of these movies am I expected to see? I
don't know. I'm sure somebody can spit out the timeline for you, and you'll have an answer real quick. But yeah,
how many of these are gonna force down my throat and expect me to smile?
Right. It's just like Marvel just keeps on kicking, and
which is fine. But it's per usual with Hollywood. They just don't know what an original idea means.
Would you say they just need to let it die?
Oh, sure.
Oh, so speaking of death, Supernatural announces it is dying after season 15. And unlike its characters, it's actually going to stay dead. So 15 years, that's a good run of a show.
Yeah, it did a pretty good job.
Being a pretty small production like it was when it first started.
It's true. They really did push to... I remember seeing episodes where they would comment on how small their audience was, and I thought it was funny, but at that time, it really was.
I mean, you can walk into any hot topic, and they have a whole end cap dedicated to them.
Yeah. The show really did manage to grow itself.
Which, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm a fan of the show.
I said, do we have some time to gush on Supernatural?
Yeah. So, especially since I flew through those first couple topics.
See, little did you know, this is why. This is the topic you wanted to get to. You just didn't realize.
This show may or may not have been planned less than 24 hours ago. But
by one party while the other party stood by when.
That honestly, sounds good.
I feel like Supernatural was a show that fell at the right time. It's right when everybody was super getting back into old music, old styles, clothing, things like that. The lumberjack look was becoming popular, very hipster. And I feel like Supernatural, it's always had a great soundtrack. They've always used fantastic music.
Although it's worth noting that the first none of in my personal opinion, but none compares to the first season.
The first season's music was.
I mean, it's my type of music, that classic rock style, that acid rock style, and after that first season, it never pushed it quite as hard again. In fact, by the seasons now, I don't think they really use much of that music anymore.
I don't think they do. I mean, it's pretty much...
I've heard some indie songs, I think, here and there. I think I heard... did I hear Blue Keys? The Blue Keys in an episode?
The Black Keys?
Black Keys, that's what I said.
You really know your indie music there, guy.
I don't. That's my point.
But, I agree. The music during the first season was the best, especially...
There's a lot of great music moments.
My favorite episode is that Shapeshifter episode.
That comes to mind, too.
Oh, man. It's just so good. It's so good. If no one's seen it, at least sit down, kind of grit your teeth through the little bit of cringe fest. That is Supernatural. At least watch the first season.
Most people say, I don't know when they say it's good actually, but I do know that a lot of people, I really like the first season. I can't watch it on Netflix because they don't have the original soundtrack, but for some reason it's not licensed. So I watched it on DVD. But what
are those?
But otherwise, it's the same thing. But there are a lot of episodes from the first season that people are not a fan of. But I really like the first season. It is a little rough, as most seasons are. But I gotta say, after the 5th season, those are probably my favorite seasons, 1 through 5.
Yeah.
After that, I follow the show, but for me, it just
it's almost like
off.
How I Met Your Mother, and the fact that you invested so much time. It's like I kind of feel this obligation that I need to at least see it through.
I guess it dropped off for me a little bit with How I Met Your Mother, but it still felt. You're always going to lose a bit of consistency, but for
Granted,
me,
it
when
wasn't 15
Eric
seasons.
Kripke left, and I don't know that it is because he left. It's just after that 5th season, the 6th onward, it just. I don't know. I lost interest in it in a hard way. I mean, I've watched them, I've seen them, but it's just something's a little different. The show's definitely gotten pretty soapy over time.
It's so soapy. Oh man, so it falls victim to the algorithm. So what I mean by that is that the show, usually during your first couple seasons, they're kind of experimenting, they're finding their niche and seeing where they fall in, who their fan base is. Pretty normal stuff. I mean, like Marvel's, Lucas Cage, they know where they're going to hit. They're going to hit the comic scene. They're going to hit the people that are like, oh man, Luke Cage, like, oh, I have no idea. But anyway, so a lot of times they spend the first couple seasons kind of seeing who they are. And once they find it, you start to see that it's a lot of rinse and repeat.
Sure.
So with Supernatural, and no, we're not like digging this one to pieces, but it is a point that I want to make where it falls victim to the relationship between Sam and Dean. It's like we hate each other, now we love each other. One of us died, he's back, I hate him, I love him, he's dead again.
Which is a fair point, and it's a fair setup, and it's compelling.
Yeah.
The first, I don't know, couple times.
Yeah, but once you get like past the point of counting on one hand, it's like, dude, come on.
Oh man. And see, that's actually why I really like the first few seasons of Supernatural, is a lot of the nuance on the episodes. It's almost satirical in a sense on a lot of them.
Sure.
I think it's Changing Channels might be the name of it, from the 5th season.
Is it the one where they end up in a hospital soap opera?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great episode to me. It's so conceptual, so high concept. And there are tons of episodes like that in the first, and they exist past the first 5 seasons, but in lesser and lesser degrees.
Yeah, and you get into stuff like the Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah, which was great. And it was actually like only a couple seasons back here, right? It's the last season I saw.
Yeah, it was season 14.
Season 13.
13?
Yeah. Because season 14 is the one they just aired, and that's not on Netflix yet, which means I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. But, yep, so Supernatural. And, the wrap up for this on me is that I will finish it out, if only just because, since it's going to end in the 15th season, I'll finish it out. If only just because to do the show its due diligence. Yeah.
But beyond that, there's nothing pulling me too much.
Pretty much.
The last episode I saw of that show.
Man, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I waited so patiently for you to watch it so I could talk about it. It was so hard. It was so hard.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. What's up, homie? I see you down there. I see you in the chat. What's up, boy? But yeah, just talking about some Supernatural, how that's coming to an end, and talked a little bit about
this topic. Next topic.
Oh, that was actually really good. Yeah, I'll roll with that. Now we can talk about our main topic, the reason all of you are here.
Which is not a classic or pass it like it should have been.
Yeah, I was bad. I didn't do my homework. So that'll be next week.
Yeah, so sorry, no March cult classic.
We're going to have two in April.
2 in April. So.
Yeah, gotta get to it. Do work.
But instead.
Yep. Instead, we are going to be talking about what is the worst game mechanic we have experienced. And we're not just going to like roll over this mechanic, but we're actually going to try to give you a point of a really bad implementation of it and then a really good one. Like one they nailed, one they flopped, which is really hard.
It is tough.
But yeah, I'll let you roll with it, John.
Oh,
so I've done enough talking. I got us through the news in 5 minutes. But yeah, what is the
So you did
worst,
5 minutes of talking,
right? What is the worst game mechanic you have ever experienced?
Oh, that is a roughie. There,
A roughie.
not to be confused. Okay, there are. There's just a slew of bad mechanics. I guess. You know what? I would have said escort missions, but actually, I think it might be timed missions.
That's a good one.
Almost every time anything's
What do you mean
timed.
by timed? Are you talking like on-screen prompts, or are you talking
anytime you're put on a clock, I guess, to finish whatever an activity in the game, no matter what it might be. It's used across all genres. You see it everywhere. You see it in platformers, you see it in RPGs, you see it in racing games, I guess.
at the end of like every Resident Evil game?
Sure.
Resident Evil has a lot of interesting mechanics, but
hey, most Metroid games, right?
Right. And yeah, I totally see where that's something that's easy to do a bad job. But what about it do you think could make it the worst?
The reason I see that having the time thrown on there is for two reasons. Is because the difficulty, the challenge that comes out of it being timed generally is either because it's already in a fairly difficult activity. Now there's this extra pressure on it, or it's an activity that's actually pretty simple, but now you're doing a mundane activity with a time limit on. So it's
I got you.
Either way it hits, it's usually frustrating and irritating. Either because you realize how little fun you're having to hurry to get this task done that just doesn't matter. It's just not. There's no challenge to it. Or in any challenge that generally comes from putting a time on a easy activity that, like, for example, you can barely make it in time, is just because they give you so little time to do it, which is just frustrating.
Yeah.
Or it's that, oh my goodness, this is really difficult, either because this is one of the hardest parts in the game, or because I've never seen this before, and now I'm expected to know how to do this out the gate, and I have to do it with a time limit.
Yeah, definitely. So...
And it's just another example of taking control away from the player, because now you can't do the game at your own pace. You have to do it at the game's pace.
Yeah, and that's not always a bad thing. Again, a lot of times, especially in a fast-paced games, I imagine that's probably where it's a pretty big nuisance, to where you're going along pretty quickly and then you slow down to a crawl because of...
I don't know. Sometimes in a game you're just kicking it, and then all of a sudden you get a time limit come up, and now you have to pay attention and buckle down.
Yeah,
and it's just not the experience you were trying to have.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the experience you're gonna have.
It's like, by golly, if you're gonna play this game, you're gonna like it.
I think that sometimes it's, and more than sometimes, it can be a good thing. In fact, it's necessary in games for the game to take control at times.
Yeah.
To guide the player. I think this is a conversation we've had before too, about how much freedom the player should have in a game. But what it boils down to, though, is that the player should still feel in control, I guess, even when they're being handled by the game, so to speak. Even if the game funnels you in certain ways, even if it gives you choices, it should be that you almost don't even notice.
Yeah.
Because you are actively choosing.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the game's choosing for you and it's blatantly throwing it in your face that it's doing so to speak.
Yeah. What would you say is a specific?
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. And another reason this is hard is because there's so many. I don't even know if I have a specific instance of.
Can I say one? What you think?
Yeah. That's,
okay. So what really annoys me?
You can say them all. Just listen.
I've got my own that I'm gonna talk about, but just to give a quick aside, the one I find annoying the most is a over graceful time limit, to where the time limit is supposed to give you the pressure and make you feel pressured and that you need to hurry. But when you finish it and you've got like 3 minutes left, you're just kind of, I don't know, it takes any satisfaction you're supposed to feel away from the time limit mission. So for instance, Metal Gear Solid, I want to say 2 has a lot of these. So one particular instance is once you fight Fat Man, there's a bomb that you've got to find, and you have a time limit to find it. And if you don't find it, the what's that thing? The ocean rig that you're on is going to explode. So naturally, oh man, I've got to find this bomb. Oh no, you move them. It's right there. And granted, to the first time player, it probably wouldn't have taken them, or it probably would have taken them a long time to find it.
I think the intent with that is that, with that setup, is that that's actually a misdirection. That timer, makes you think, oh God, your first thought is if they give them this much time, it must be all the way across. You might not even think to just look around a little bit, because you're not allowed to take your time.
No, you're on a time mission. You gotta hurry.
And that actually might be my example, because I didn't have any examples for good games that for a good gaming experience with time limit.
You're welcome.
That's mine. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. But yeah, and probably.
But I see what you mean. But it seems almost more. There's a lot of things like that in Metal Gear games where, like, the first time they happen, it'll throw you way off. But next time you'll know, and it's not really a thing anymore. Yeah. Because they're almost cinematic in nature, especially with the second one. And without going into the spoilers, because it's not really necessary, that whole deal at the end where it gets meta-referential, and things just go crazy. At first, if you're playing it for the first time, you don't know anything about it, that'll throw you completely off guard. But anytime you go through it again, you're just waiting to get through.
Yeah, it's like, all right, dude, stop talking. And but yeah, probably another instance would be Super Metroid, the final countdown, when you're trying to escape. They're pretty loving in the allotted time that you have. I guess
it feels comfortable to me. You probably get out with about a minute left.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's plenty of time to get knocked around.
I'm not saying like a perfect speed run through it. What I'm referring to is a casual pace. Like, you make a few mistakes, give me 30 seconds. Let me come down to less than a minute, because once you're at less than a minute, that's when the excitement kicks in and you start like palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. Might be throwing up a little bit of spaghetti.
Personally, I don't know if I could agree. I don't need a timer to know it's tense. Just to have the screen explode. I don't want to lose and have to go through the boss fight all over again,
that is so annoying.
Which has happened to me on Super Metroid, so I disagree with you.
that happened to me plenty.
Well, see, there you go. You shouldn't lose.
Because the controller was broken. And I couldn't
ladies and gentlemen,
jump properly. It's a real problem. Look it up.
Classic excuse, I think, number 1. Oh, it's my controller. It's broken, I think.
Uh-huh. I see how it is. Oh, so in Warframe, your PS3 controller was messing up.
PS4, let's get it right, please.
So sorry. They've all looked the same since the dawn of PlayStation. Didn't mean to get them confused. RJ down in the chat says, I hate in online games that have ranked modes when someone rage quits and you don't get your points. That's pretty irritating. Yeah, I definitely feel your pain. Oh, man.
Speaking of which, kind of coming off that point in Warframe, there's a tally for failures and quits on missions. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you don't have a choice because the game glitches you in the corner. It feels like such an unfair stat at that point.
If you go to our Discord, which, by the way, we have a Discord now in the video description, or you can look onto the channel page, and I think there's a link there as well. But anyway, if you go to the game discussion, there's a picture from Warframe where I'm spawned outside of the map. And John's fighting the big boss, like, in the center, and I can't do anything. I'm stuck. And, yeah, definitely instances like that. You're not going to win. You're not even going to be able to play. Like, which apparently, from what I've learned, that was due to a bad connection.
Yeah.
So that was probably my internet's fault. Because
so that experience, that's all it was.
That's why you hadn't experienced it before. Well, my connection, the reason...
I don't know, because mine's gone bad a couple times too, I think.
Yeah, but you didn't spawn outside of the map or anything.
I did.
Yeah, when you were playing with me.
Yeah, solo, I guess I didn't.
So apparently what it is it's something to do with when the game loads the map... if your connection's not there, it sees you as a miss, and it won't load you into the map. So the game loads, well, suddenly you kind of piggyback ride your way in on the connection, and that's what it is you're not a usable asset in the map, so it just puts you out in case there's a line of code that says, like, because when the enemies spawn, you can even see in that picture the enemies are below the map. So it just takes the enemies and boop, puts them up there. Pretty unique stuff.
I've never seen that in any other mission we've played. I guess that's the only one that uses that.
It'll be any... well, that one's really buggy to begin with.
Yeah, that one's
so, yeah. But anyway...
That one's a nightmare. Because we haven't talked about your worst, have we?
No. It was really, really hard to choose.
Yeah.
The two
Which, by the way, I plan on dropping a couple more.
Yeah, I'm probably going to discuss this a little further. Just because you can't just...
Even if we
they're
got
like pistachios. You can't just have one. But anyway, so I was tied between water movement in video games. Because there's very, very few games in which when you get to the water level... Everyone hates water levels because of the movement.
Yeah.
And also the whole escort mission thing. Because that's a big pet peeve of mine. So I'll go ahead and explain both of them kind of quickly. So in I almost said exploit missions. Whew.
Escort?
There's the word. Escort missions. The reason I can't stand them is that a lot of times the control is out of your hands, which, good thing or bad thing, take it or leave it. But oftentimes it's put behind really crappy AI in the game. And it's so frustrating. Like Resident Evil 4, for instance, the president's daughter, Ashley, that you have to save. She is the dumbest NPC to have to rescue. A lot of times her movement's super slow. She has really annoying dialogue. You can't get too far away from her or else she gets captured and you got to rescue her again. Just things like that. Probably a good instance of that would honestly be Warframe, because you can actually give the guy a weapon, and by good, I'm using that loosely.
was saying, because you hate rescue missions.
By good, I'm using it loosely here. So at least there, you can give him a weapon and give him a little bit of a chance to survive. A little bit. A lot of times he just likes to run off and get himself killed anyway.
Have you? Yeah, well, and with rescue missions in Warframe, you can just rush to the exit.
That's what I do. Why save the guy when you can just get to the exit first?
Let him bleed as long as the counter doesn't hit before I get out.
I hate fun fighting games with bad story mode, says RJ in the chat. I agree, buddy. That's a pretty rough one. Like, I always enjoyed the Budokai games just because they always went by the story that was Dragon Ball Z. And they were really, really, really fun. But, yeah, there's a lot of fighting games where story mode's optional. Soul Calibur, for instance. Tekken. Tekken had a pretty bad one. Let's see here.
You know, Mortal Kombat's actually had pretty decent story modes.
Their newest ones were pretty good. What's that one, like, giant turd ball that released in the early 2000s?
I wasn't counting anything past 11.
Was it 8?
Before 11, excuse me.
I can't remember, but yeah, Mortal Kombat's been hit or miss. You had the Sub-Zero one.
It would be 8.
And then that one had a pretty terrible story.
I don't even know. But the reason I say that is because any walkthrough I've ever seen has ended before.
Yeah.
Any review I've ever seen has ended before the first couple levels of it because the gameplay is so terrible. Yeah, and you know what? It's too bad.
More cutscenes.
It's too bad because that game actually, I like the concept. I like the idea of a Mortal Kombat platform game that focuses on, because they have so much lore that they actually can work with since they backroad it all. In, but
not salty.
But not salty.
It's the honest truth, though.
I mean, they wasn't always there, if we're being straight. But it is interesting regardless. They could make a lot. They could do a lot with that. There's a lot of individual stories they could go after. But
is it when that dude drops off a cliff? Are you talking about the end of that really crappy Mortal Kombat game? Because I think we're thinking the same thing. I'm pretty sure that's the end of the game, is home dude falls off the cliff.
Is that what it?
Yeah.
I remember the spoons.
Yeah, it was very good, son.
I remember the turbines that you got to jump from platform to platform. I've never played it. I've just seen it played. It looks a little rough.
It's like that Superman N64 game. Not a lot of people have played it, but everyone knows it. But
I've played it. Oh my god.
I have it. I have it.
I almost picked it up the other day. It's so infamous that it's a classic in its own
honestly,
right.
If I came across a relatively cheap ET cartridge, I'd totally buy it. I don't care if it's nefarious for being like the worst game ever made. It killed the NES,
which I think is unfair.
That's a different discussion, because that one I'll go on for hours.
And since we've already, I wanted to say on your escort mission topic, you know what? One that always really frustrated me was a sequence in Jak 2. Have you ever played any of the Jak and Daxter games?
Yeah, I've played up till 3.
Okay. There's a sequence in Jak 2 where you're going under the city, and the sewage flows through this pipe.
Sewer pipe?
A sewer system, yeah. You're going through the sewer system, and it's an escort mission. There's 3 guys that you got to escort through. Mm-hmm. And I just remember it being so frustrating. I think because, for one, the enemies were tough enough as it was, but for 2, that these guys couldn't take anything for hits. And there was just a bunch of, surprise moments throughout the entire quest. Like, it's a bunch of, you're just wandering along, and all of a sudden there's enemies on you, which is awful in an escort mission. And then it ends in a horde battle, an escort mission. Yucky.
Oh, no.
That's terrible.
That's bad gameplay. Don't make bad gameplays. But yeah, and to go real quick onto my second one, the water movement. So I'm not talking about like the old school 2D Zeldas, because you get Zora flippers and you're just fine. But any 3D Zelda, I hate the water movement. It's so bad. A lot of times the camera has a hard time cooperating with you as well, which in 64 that was notorious anyway. But
I'm honestly trying to remember Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, even Twilight Princess.
Well, I know,
like going as far as that, like the water sucked.
I know people hated the water, like the water temple. I can't remember it, to be honest. You had boots.
Yeah.
I know that much.
Zelda had boots. They were Prada.
Well,
also,
shoot, even in 2D games, like, honestly, Mario Bros. Is one of those that's like hit or miss, but
I hate the underwater levels.
I never liked it. There's two reasons. One is that it's the controls. One is that, which is a multi-issue. I mean, in terms of it, you're no longer playing the same way that you've been playing the whole game. Now it's changed up. But also, you're not in control of your movements. It's more like you're controlling the game moving you.
Yeah.
When you hit a button, you jump in Super Mario Bros.
Yeah, so essentially it's like you're moving the stage, almost like you're moving the stage around you.
Almost, yeah. I mean, technically, you're moving yourself. When you hit the button, you swim, but it's an exaggerated movement that carries you through. And you have to sort of manage the way the game's moving you.
Yeah.
like jumping is an immediate, and it's something you pull out as control. Swimming is more like, again, like you're managing movement rather than you're causing. But the other thing is you lose all your offensive capabilities.
Yeah.
Now it's just an obstacle course, which is fun, but it's much less so when you can't defend yourself.
I'll tell you one underwater game that is so frustrating is Echo the Frickin' Dolphin.
Really? I've never played.
Oh man, we'll have to play it one day on the channel or something. Like Echo the Dolphin, as you can tell by the title, you're a dolphin.
Truth.
Also, I like your comment down there, RJ. It says at least the one in Donkey Kong Country had a catchy song. Honestly, that water level wasn't bad.
And you get the swordfish.
Yeah, the swordfish made it much better.
That's what I'm saying. Actually, on two fronts. One, you can attack enemies.
Yeah.
And two, you can move freely in the water.
Also, that whole game was one big kick butt awesome soundtrack.
So
I
good.
love... Sometimes I'll just put the
Ice Cave
cartridge in and then just let the game play like that beginning, like do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do. I'm a terrible singer. I apologize. But, yeah, I'll just let it play its music just because it's so good.
Ice Cave Chant. That's the best one.
But, yeah, so... what was the point you made right before that? Because I was going to say something, and now I can't remember.
You were saying worst water, Echo the Dolphin.
Oh, yeah, Echo the Dolphin. Yep, big old turd. That game's just hard, though. It doesn't really do
decent. I thought that's what I heard.
It's a decent game, but it's a turd in the aspect that, same reason Warframe is, they don't explain things very well. Granted, I don't have the manual that came with the game, but...
And this was at a time when you had to read the manual, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Which, honestly, I really enjoyed reading the manuals of games before I played them.
Remember that time I brought all those into school, all the SNES manuals?
Yeah. I remember Super Metroids, too. You were showing me... like
that was a great manual, all the artwork in it.
Another really great manual was the one for Legend of the Dragoon for PS1. It had a ton of artwork and everything in it, and it was so cool. Like, I actually wore the back spine out of it. I would flip through it so much.
Hey, another good example, by the way, of water levels and good music would be Dire Dire Docks for Super Mario 64.
I can't remember it.
I would hum it for you, but now Ice Cave Chant's in my head.
It's all good. Yeah,
but yeah, you're right. Because thinking about it, I mean, 3D water levels suck. In Mario, it's difficult because there's an extra layer of depth that's added suddenly too. With that third dimension, now you got to worry about how far away you are in a way that didn't matter before, I guess.
Yeah. Definitely don't like my water movements. That's for sure.
I think the most notorious game with it that I've never played is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Maybe Back in Time?
Turtles in Time?
Turtles in Time, perhaps. It's the level where there's you're going through these very narrow passageways with these hurtful sea anemone or whatever everywhere lining the passages. There's this very narrow.
I played Turtles in Time. I just don't remember.
It might not be. I've honestly never played any of the TMNT games.
It makes sense. I mean, you're going through, like, you fought dinosaurs and crap. So,
but that is a noteworthy for sure. One of the worst. I've never played it. But.
I always hated the sewer system in that game. Actually, Turtles in Time you might not have. Now that I'm thinking about it. Because it's like you go in, you fight Shredder, you go back in time. Let's see. Yeah, and then you... okay, yeah, I don't think that's Turtles in Time. Have you guys talked about your favorite soundtracks from games?
Yeah, that might be a good
We're going to have to hold on to that one because especially... game music is always something I've appreciated, but I haven't really... dove deep into it until the past couple years since I've been doing trying to situate here since I've been doing music related things. I would love to talk about that because I mean especially games like Bastion and stuff like that, learning the backstories about how music was created, and we're gonna do that one. We'll put that one on the dock somewhere.
Give that one the attention it deserves.
Absolutely,
I'd love to look into it a little more first.
That's a good idea, RJ.
Agreed.
Whew. That would be dope, indeed. What were some of the other mechanics you were going to talk about?
Fetch quests.
Fetch quests. Oh.
Which, to be fair, you know, the main reason that fetch quests would be an issue is because they're boring. It's just a tedious task to do.
Yeah.
But...
has anyone played Dead Island 1?
It's funny, when I was looking up examples, that's like the first example.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's a good point. Almost half the quests are fetch quests.
Over half. It's like everything.
And there's nothing to it. There's no lore within the items. Generally you're not. I mean, there's nothing you get out of fetching the items other than the
XP or some in-game item that you may or may not get. I don't know.
I mean, here's some ways that are done. You can do with fetch quests to make them enjoyable. There's lore threaded in to the items you're fetching. The items you fetch are turned into an item that you use later. An item's crafted from the items you're fetching. I mean, heck, here's something I've learned when looking into this, is that it seems like there's no mechanic. While there are some mechanics that are, I would say, are more prone to being bad mechanics, like like escort missions and the such. There's no mechanics that are purely bad mechanics. It's just the implementation.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of times it's when mechanics are implemented outside of, for example, some of the worst game mechanics are stealth and vehicular or racing segments.
Yeah.
But it's generally because when they're implemented outside of racing games or stealth games, like any time you're forced to do stealth outside of a game where you primarily don't do stealth, a lot of times it can be so terrible. Especially, and I mean, I guess not especially. I mean, if it's not implemented well, and it tends not to be.
Yeah, especially when it comes to racing aspects and non-racing games. I remember Rage when it came out. The racing and stuff you did, it was just kind of added fluff they added to the game just to give you a little bit more content, which isn't a bad thing. Yeah, but it felt pretty empty. Every single car drove just about the same. Yeah. There really wasn't. It was, you race this car, you get this one. This one's completely obsolete. Never use it again. It wasn't an instance of how you drive or how you could control the vehicle to make you win. It was just you had the better car.
I mean, to put it really simply, it was really simplistic. It's hard to call it fluff because so much of that, this is off topic, but so much of that game is like that, where it's like, oh, well, this sort of feels like filler. And you're like, oh, it's all kind of filler.
Wait, the whole game's filler. It's all filler.
So do a good job with Rage 2, Bethesda.
No, it's not Bethesda.
Well, they're producing it.
It's
They've got their hands in that pot for sure.
Yeah, they've got their hands in it. It's what's the name of that
id
company?
Software.
Is it id?
I think.
I don't think it's id. Here, let me do a Google, because this is driving me insane. Rage 2. It's some Australian developer. Let's see. Avalanche Studios.
Wait, roll up.
In Stockholm. That's what it is. Okay. So the developer is Avalanche Studios.
In conjunction with id Software. Yeah. So they are involved. No wonder why I thought.
Yeah, it looks a lot like they took Rage and put it in a Doom engine. Is pretty much what the game looks like. But yeah, Stockholm. Why was I thinking Australia? I remember when they announced that. That dude definitely talked like he was from Stockholm. Terrible with accents. But, yeah, racing, I'm trying to think of something else that was like Diddy Kong Racing.
Well, other vehicular like quests outside of Arkwing?
Arkwing and Warframe. Oh, boy. Man, we've really beat that horse.
Good, it deserves some beating.
Can we talk about waifus? Hey, man. Everybody needs a waifu.
Oh, I don't know. Like, because the other type of, I mean, it's any kind of vehicular segment. A lot of times it's racing.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to point to the racing segments in Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
I like them. I don't think they're implemented terribly, but it is sort of, it does feel a little fillery. It's a little fluffy. But I really hesitate to really point a harsh finger because it's not a terrible implementation.
No, it just feels like you said, it's filler. It's not. They weren't super intentional about the way it was implemented. They
well, I mean, it's a platforming game, and it's really not a racing game. So anything they put in's they can't spend all their time on it. And generally speaking, to do racing like a racing segment right, you got to put some time into it.
Yeah, true.
It's got to be pivotal, and it just you're not going to have the time, the resources, the funds to really make it. You know what I mean? To actually put in, I mean, in theory, what makes a good racing game for you? The nuances, the details, the ability to choose different vehicles, the ability to maneuver different
of the physics. That's a big one. That's why I would so much rather play Forza than Need for Speed. But
well, and physics it's a little bit of a questionable statement when we're talking about like hovering bikes like they are.
Yeah, true. Man, there was a game called Extreme G on the N64, and it was basically like they tried to take F-Zero and stick it with a bunch of steroids. It was a mess, dude. It was crazy. So you would drive these motorcycle-esque bikes on these space tracks, and yeah, you got random power-ups. It would be missiles and heat-sinking missiles, and tried to make it super action-y, but they just drove like crap. But that was a random rabbit trail. But yeah, I think that probably hit. Is there another?
We gotta start wrapping up, but there is one more. QTE and scripted sequences, QuickTime events.
Oh yeah.
I guess we could visit that quickly.
QuickTime events. I've never been a huge fan of QuickTime events. They feel kind of stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know what they're going for. The idea is that it's supposed to be cinematic. I mean, that's where you see them a lot of times.
Interaction. You're controlling your character in the cutscene.
Yeah, sort of. Like it's yeah, kind of. It's to keep the game flowing, keeping it interactive, while at the same time sort of giving you a story. But the problem with that is that's it's very hard to balance both. Even in games like Uncharted. I mean, it's I'll tell you why. Surprisingly enough, one of my least favorite games with it is Metal Gear. Almost every single Metal Gear, well, solid game, and after that release has a torture. I'm sorry, I think everyone does have a torture segment, or whoever you're playing as, whoever the protagonist is that you're playing, has a torture sequence. And almost all of them have a mash the button QTE sequence. And there's actually a couple Metal Gear Solid games I haven't been able to get through. I couldn't get through Metal Gear Peace Walker because it has that damn QTE in it, and I just can't mash it hard enough.
I'll tell you what, a fantastic QTE game is Detroit Beyond Human.
You know, it
is beautiful.
I was thinking Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain's
which is also Quantic.
Homie RJ down in the chat, I watched his
Quantic Dreams,
yeah, I watched his Heavy Rain Let's Play, and
hit or miss, truth.
Yeah, there's definitely some good ones out there for sure, but it's so easy to flop.
It's a very niche kind of thing. The reason it works in those, by the way, is that QTE, while it's still interactive and it's also cinematic, part of the reason that works is because you don't fail. When you fail the QTE, you don't necessarily fail the game. You know what I mean? You fail the sequence.
There might be like one or two instances where you would.
I think even if you fail a sequence and it would be the death of your character, the game still keeps going. Yeah. You can lose characters.
Like Detroit Beyond Human. If you fell as this one android guy, you just keep coming back.
Spoilers!
Like,
damn!
They had me throw garbage. But yeah,
that's what I mean to play. There's a lot of Quantic Dream games I want to play actually. Like Juno, the Juno, the new Juno.
Who makes Life is Strange?
I don't even know. It's not Quantic Dreams.
I can't remember. Homie, do you know down in the chat who makes Life is Strange? Because that's gonna drive me insane. But that's another really good series. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that it's QTE though, right? I mean, it's dialogue driven, and it's choice. In fact, it's almost.
I thought there was QTE.
I'm thinking through. I've only ever played. I want to say like.
Because I'm pretty sure there, especially in the second one, there's a part where you're restrained.
You said Square Enix.
Yeah, Square Enix. That makes sense. That's a total Square Enix game.
What were you saying? I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure there's a point in the second Life is Strange where you're restrained and you have to do QTE in order to.
Never played it, but
yeah,
I've played up to maybe the third, maybe fourth act in the first one.
Yeah, there's a few. Okay.
I
knew I wasn't going crazy.
But one of the differences with Life is Strange though is that you can always go back and that's not spoiling, is it?
Spoiler alert.
Certainly no more than you and your whatever your garbage quote is. I don't know what this is.
Now whenever you play a Quantum Dream game, you're going to be going, oh, there's garbage. Am I going to throw it? Yeah, there you go. Just watch Homie's channel. Yeah, he's got them all up there, man. I'll tell you what, Homie goes through some games, dude. It's crazy. Yeah, a lot of times at work, I'll throw on Let's Plays and just listen to the whole thing. There's so many games that I haven't even played, but I know like the back of my hand.
See, and I don't like that.
Devil May Cry.
I'm okay with games that I know I'm never gonna play.
Yeah.
But if there's a game I might end up playing, I want to experience it. Otherwise, I feel like you've sucked out most of the point, right?
Yeah. To me, I get a lot of satisfaction out of story, but it's actually doing it that I get the most satisfaction out of. So when I beat the game and the credits are rolling, I'm like, I beat that game.
Sure, but there are narrative points that you wouldn't expect, like in Super Metroid, which you watched before you played, didn't you? But there are things like
I watched the crap out of Super Metroid before I played it.
They're just well, how about Fusion? Because there's an example of a game you probably played before you saw. There's just a number of there's a lot of sequences in Fusion where things happen and you don't anticipate them because you don't know they're gonna be there.
Yeah,
and you're playing through that. Anything with the SAX is like that.
Yeah, I could see your point there. I remember getting
the crap. Don't tell me, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I remember getting the crap scared out of me the first time you encounter SAX. I'm like, what the heck is that thing?
And so it's not like you wouldn't have fun playing through having already seen the walkthrough.
Yeah.
But it would definitely take away from that moment.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be the same. And that's the only thing. I just don't want to lose any moments that wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same, but it still doesn't ruin it for me.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah. There's probably very, very few games to which, I actively avoid spoilers. Honestly, I found myself more watching Let's Plays, dodging other people's Let's Plays because I want to watch this particular person's more. Like all the Devil May Cry 5 stuff, I've been super avoiding and dodging so that way I can watch Castle Super Beast. Well, Wooly Versus do his Let's Play of it. Things like that. But again, Warframe, I know pretty much everything that happens, but it's still fun. I still enjoy playing it.
That would have been a bummer for me.
Yeah,
to know what was coming because that was such a
especially
cool,
being
unexpected moment.
Yeah, especially being like that where you that's the what really gets you going is, the experience of it. Yeah, Warframe putting hundreds of hours in to just already know. I could see where that would drive someone to quit the game. But yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's actually real quick that we could get out of here.
Story of our lives, real quick. We'll explain this.
with quick. Another way of seeing QuickTime events that have worked well is there was a game called Kingdoms of Amalur. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you haven't. It did okay. And then the studio that made it, which they could have made more, but the studio that made it, due to various issues that I'm not prepared to talk about now, but they folded hard, somewhat unexpectedly. It was kind of a big deal, actually. But anyway, honestly, might have been a bigger deal than the game they put out. But the game, for what it was and for all its flaws, was pretty interesting. And one of the things they worked in is there was this whole deal. The games all centered around the theming of fate, and you have a fate meter, and it builds up when you kill enemies, and then when the meter's full, you can execute it, and it slows all the enemies in an area down, so you can finish them out, or you can kill them off, and then you can execute a quick time event, which when it's done will give you experience for all the enemies that you caught in that. But the way that worked the quick time event is you mash it as quick as you can, and there's a percentage, and if you can get 100%, you'll get the full amount of the experience, but otherwise you might get 75% or less, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And so the way it works is, you know what I mean? You don't have to. It's very much an optional thing, and failing it, it's not really a matter of fail. If you fail to get 100%, you don't have to go back and retry the scene over again. You just won't get the most out of it. But it's it's no loss, right?
Yeah.
No harm, no foul kind of deal. And honestly, that's the way to run a QTE. The problem with QTEs is that they take control away from the player while trying to give you control.
Yeah, give me a buff or give me an item or some sort of advancement of my character if I get through a QTE. Don't punish me and make me go all the way back to the freaking checkpoint.
or rather, I mean, and the problem with it is that you have to keep doing the QTE until you pass it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times QTEs, the way they're set up is like it'll kill you. You know what I mean? It's a scripted death sequence. But so yeah, the ability to fail, that's what they're mostly missing. Because the problem is it becomes a very trial and error and very, oh, Dad, I gotta do it over again. Oh, almost I gotta go back and do it again. But if you can fail it and keep going, then there you go.
Yeah.
You don't have that issue.
Exactly.
And that's why it works okay in some Quantic Dream games and that.
Let's see.
And you know what else? Similar kind of concept was the game that I brought so you guys could laugh at it with the kids in the horror mansion with the killer and Until Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Until Dawn's got that same kind of setup where there are QTEs and you can fail a few and it doesn't matter, and then there's some that you can fail and it'll be the death of a character, but it won't stop the game.
Yeah.
The game never ends unless you cut it off, essentially.
Yeah.
Or it comes to its close.
Alters the ending, and yeah. Which honestly, even though like that game was very strange, and we were actually running through it pretty quick and just choosing the worst possible combinations we could think of.
Actually, we didn't get halfway through, I think.
I thought we got at least half.
No.
Oh, that's longer than I thought.
Yeah, there's actually like a twist halfway through the game
Gotcha.
that changed the context. We didn't even get close to it.
I mean, it was a pretty good game. I actually enjoyed playing it.
I liked it quite a bit. But it's certainly not everybody's cup of tea. Which, like Homie said, just like the Quantic Dream games, hit or miss.
Yeah. Very much so.
And
guess they never miss, huh? You get that reference?
I'm sorry? Unless they never miss?
No, TikTok. It's annoying. It's stupid. Don't even concern yourself with it. I've watched too many cringy TikTok compilations.
Oh, TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't even know what it is.
I just watched the cringy ones, and I'm like, oh, man, that makes me feel good about myself.
I just noticed it interrupts the start of my YouTube videos, and I go, right? What the hell is that?
These kids these days, rubber.
Rabble.
Right. Oh, me. Speaking of kids these days, we should probably get to the question of the day.
Oh my goodness, you're gonna need to work on this.
Yeah, I'm rusty, man. Like I don't get many. I'm just a lonely YouTuber. I'm just a lonely YouTuber. I sit in my room and just talk to my camera and hope that people like and smash the subscribe button and
smash it, Benj. Smash it.
But anyway, so question of the day. We're not actually going to talk about this because we feel like we've kind of been ruining the point of it. But we're going to say this. Let us know down in the comments. Hit us up on the social medias. Go to our Discord channel. We are trying to grow our community.
Are we putting this in Patreon question?
No, that's for a future date. We're debating whether or not to do the whole Patreon thing once the channel grows a little bit. No, this will go in Player Tuesday. Under Discord. Player Tuesday chat.
Where do I put it?
You're on the channel right there. Killing me, Smalls.
That's what she said?
You guys see what I got to work with. But yeah, so you go right
Yeah,
down there.
I got you.
Okay. Whew. I was like, man, if I got to explain how to type this, I'm going to fire your volunteer position. But anyway, so.
When I come over to film on Tuesdays, you better go to your room.
Right, you're grounded. I'm just stealing your internet. But question of the day. What is the worst game you have ever played due to poor or broken mechanics? We're not necessarily... You can explain the mechanics by all means, but we're looking for those really, really bad games to where you're just like, what kind of crack was this developer smoking? Because this game is terrible. So sound off in the comments on the Discords and all over the social medias. Let us know. And yeah, I think we have successfully pulled off a podcast. I feel good about it.
I'm still awake, so
yeah, that's.
I'll give myself that.
Both of us are on the struggle bus today. I'm not gonna lie. I'm proud of us. We're able to just whip these things right out of our rectums, and yeah,
that's what she said.
There we go. All right, I should probably stop talking. All right, guys. We'll see you all in the next stream, which hopefully will be next Tuesday, unless one of us gets deathly ill again.
Yep.
But
which given our track record.
So thanks for coming, hanging out, participating in chat. We love you all. You all are special. You're special little commenters and people. And we will see you all in the next stream, guys. See ya.
Bye.